The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to this edition of the CSIA Partner Technical Webinar Series. My name is Tony Verhoeven and I am the CSIA Exchange Community Manager. I'm happy to introduce our partners and webinar hosts from Canary Labs. The webinar is titled Digital Marketing 101. CSIA is pleased to co-sponsor this educational webinar with our CSIA partner members and valued industry proponents. We are grateful for their support of CSIA in the profession and industry of systems integration and automation. We are particularly pleased that they are providing this technical education presentation to the system integrator and end user community. For those of you who are unfamiliar with CSIA, we are the only trade association focused on advancing the system integration industry. Our vision is to ensure that manufacturing and process industries everywhere have access to low-risk, safe, and successful application of automation technology. To accomplish this, CSIA supports system integrator companies in becoming better businesses. We offer guidance to improve integrator effectiveness with our best practices and benchmarks manual, an open forum to connect and learn from other companies, opportunities to market within the industry. As our members continue to improve their management skills, they can begin to work toward becoming CSIA certified, an industry standard in business excellence. CSIA membership offers members access to resources needed to attain its business goals. These benefits include networking opportunities at the annual conference, marketing toolkits, educational materials, and the Industrial Automation Exchange, which is an online buyer's guide and community that connects end-user clients with system integrators, industry suppliers, manufacturers, and process companies together in one convenient online location. These are just a few examples of how CSIA can improve your business, with CSIA certification being the recognized seal of approval. Certification demonstrates commitment to meeting the highest standards for integrator businesses and management. Successful system integration businesses combine technical proficiency with sound business practices. In fact, clients are now seeking integrators with CSI certification alongside of an ISO certification. And what does that mean to our supplier and system integrators and your clients? CSI certification focuses on business practices, whereas other certifications traditionally focus on quality and technical abilities. Clients will recognize certified integrators' commitments to industry standards and business acumen when they see that you are certified. Certification also increases the probability of your technology being well represented and greatly reduces the risk of project failure. The Industrial Automation Exchange is the premier automation supplier guide and integrator guide featuring integrators who provide industry, manufacturing, and process automation solutions. This is the first place to search for industrial automation answers and for clients to research technology teams to implement their next automation and integration project. Clients can easily filter to integrators and suppliers based on industry, specialty, products, or locations. And clients can search for specific products and choose a supplier's recognized or certified integrator partner. For integrators and their partners, it's a place to market their expertise. Clients will find white papers, case studies, videos, capabilities, contact information, and engage in conversation directly with our CSI members. Content posted on the exchange often ranks higher than content posted on your own .com or blog, LinkedIn, and other platforms. And maybe Jeff even kind of mentioned the importance of having content in other places. Any company in the automation industry can create a free profile in the exchange. For more information on certification, membership, or how to participate in the Industrial Automation Exchange, you can contact me. You can find me on CSIAexchange.com, controlsys.org, or at the number shown, or email. So I'm not hard to find, just Google me. Thanks so much, and I will turn the webinar over to our host from Canary Labs. He's Jeff Nepper. Thanks for hosting the webinar, Jeff. Take it away.
Tony, thanks for the introduction. I'm very excited to have everyone here today, and I want to thank you for joining. As Tony stated, my name is Jeff Nepper. I'm the Executive Director of Sales here at Canary Labs, a software firm that offers a data historian and trending software solution for the control and automation industry. As we begin to talk about digital marketing, I want you to know that my goal is to help you develop a better understanding of how you can use digital marketing technology to increase your business's online presence, in turn driving more traffic to your website and ultimately increasing your bottom line. All of these webinars will be designed for both the first-time user as well as the more experienced marketer. Earlier last week, I sent out an email and asked you to take a quick poll to rank your experience, and many of you will be pleased to know that 90% of those in attendance today said that this is their first time diving into the digital marketing experience, or that they are still considering themselves novices at this. So rest assured, you're not alone. Everybody is in a situation that they're not completely familiar with. But all of these webinars are going to be designed for you, the first-time user. And this first session is going to start with a basic overview, and each session will build on each that was previous. A recording of this webinar is going to be made available to you, so please feel free to share the content throughout your organization and to anyone that you feel will benefit from it. Now, throughout the webinar, we'd love it if you'd send any questions that you may have our way. I'll either answer the questions as we go, or I might save them for the end, but I do want to make sure that I spend your time well. I'm going to do my best to value that time and get to as many of your answers as possible today. So feel free to ask anything that's on your mind. All right, let's get started. When you compare business today to 15 years ago, the way that you can and should advertise has drastically changed. 2 decades ago, a business had 5 or 6 major mediums to choose from when deciding how best to advertise. In fact, since 2013, traditional media and marketing is quickly losing its share. Does anyone here still advertise in the Yellow Pages? Better yet, does anyone here still use the Yellow Pages? What do we do today when we need a business's phone number? Of course, we don't look in the Yellow Pages, we just Google it. These traditional marketing components are being replaced by digital platforms. Fewer people are reading printed newspapers. Instead, they're getting their news through websites and on social media. Radio is being replaced with Pandora, Spotify, and dozens of other streaming services. Hulu and Netflix are giving the major cable networks a scare, to the point they're even producing their own shows. And your mailbox is no longer just at the end of your driveway. It travels in your pocket, and you check it 30 times a day. Today, less and less business-to-business advertising is taking place in those first 5 segments. Now, obviously, trade show attendance and sponsorship, something I'd consider more of a grassroots marketing and networking venture, it still has its value to us. But we don't even have to wait for a trade show to meet potential customers and interact. Now, all we have to do is hop on a webinar like this one, and we begin building relationships. I believe a healthy marketing portfolio should still have traditional media included in it. But where the majority of advertising dollars used to be spent in traditional media, today's advertising should slant heavily into the digital space. Digital marketing will allow you to be far more specific in who you reach and cost far less per impression. For instance, did you know that by using LinkedIn, you can choose to advertise to only a certain job title inside a certain industry within a certain geographic region? Think of how powerful it would be to serve Facebook ads focused only to a company you are currently bidding work for, or how effective you could be at a trade show serving banner ads only inside of the walls of the hotels that are full of your potential customers. There is great, great power behind digital advertising, but how do you get started? Unfortunately, as with most technology, the digital marketing space has become filled with buzzwords, acronyms, tech speak. It makes it difficult, if not near impossible, to know where to start or what you should do, and especially hard to do so with any type of clear and concise strategy. Add to this the hundreds of digital marketing companies that are constantly trying to sell you a monthly service package, and it can be extremely confusing to know where to start. So let's make it easy. When we look at this model, we're going to see the 6 main components of a well-balanced digital marketing campaign. These are all centered around one thing, your website. The general goal of all 6 categories is to increase traffic to your website and drive more sales leads. Now please note, for this to work, you need to have an effective website. It has to have a strong potential for lead conversion. So the first thing to ask yourself, is it easy to reach me through our website? And what I mean is, how many pages does someone have to wade through to fill out a contact form and ask us to contact them? If you are doing it correctly, the answer should be none. They should be able to reach you directly from any page they come in on without having to search for a contact form. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about your site in a bit, but for now let's just go around the horn here and talk about each outer circle. So starting in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find social media marketing. It's commonly referred to as SMM, and that's the advertising you see in the social media environment. For instance, it could be a sponsored ad on Facebook or LinkedIn. It could be a 15-second pre-roll video on YouTube. This is a great place to expose your brand to a specific targeted audience for very little money. Directly below SMM is digital advertising, and these are the banner ads you see all over most web pages. And most of these ads are considered to be smart ads, meaning they will use your previous internet browsing history to serve you appropriate ads that match your interest. Beside that is blogging. Blogging is the simplest way to continue to add conversational content for your business online. Many individuals will use a blog as an online journal, but a business can use blogging to strategically write about their business and offer customers content that's both helpful and relevant. Viral campaigns. This is an area that few people talk about. It's a marketing strategy that relies on your customers to actually promote your business through their social media networks and sharing, instead of you spending your advertising dollars to put your message in front of people. Think about a video you've probably seen on YouTube. It involved Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR racer. He goes undercover, puts on fake goatee and sunglasses and a hat. He pretends to be interested in a used Camaro and takes both the car and some poor, unsuspecting salesman on a 2-minute, heart-pounding test drive through an abandoned warehouse at breakneck speeds. Have you seen it? You probably have. That's a Pepsi viral ad that's been viewed over 40 million times and was shared socially hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of times. So think of the reach that Pepsi had, even though they didn't spend an actual dollar to put the video in front of you. Beside viral campaigns is email campaigns. Most of us would immediately cringe when we think of an email blast. I mean, let's be honest, our mailboxes get filled with email all day long, and a lot of it things that we don't care about. However, when done correctly, an email campaign can be a highly, highly effective way to share your content with a potential customer. Monthly or quarterly newsletters are a great place to start, but it certainly does not have to be limited to that. And finally, the 6th area, and our subject for today, is organic search. I personally think that before you begin to develop any of these other 5 areas, you have to start with a good understanding of how organic search works and what it is. All right, so what is it? Whether you're familiar with the term organic search or not, you've probably used it thousands and thousands of times. Organic search is the websites and the web page listings that occur when you enter a series of terms into a search engine like Google. Now there's basically 3 search engines, Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And for almost everything we talk about today, we're going to focus on Google because they have the majority, nearly 75% of the market share when it comes to searches performed online. Google runs a series of mathematical algorithms, they call them Panda and Penguin, that rank the relevance of all websites to the search string and then display them in order of importance on an SERP. SERP stands for Search Engine Result Page. So let's look at an example of a typical search result page. Now here we go. Here's a Google search page showing the results for the search phrase men's running shoes. At the top of the page are 4 pay-per-click advertisements. These are commonly referred to as PPC ads, pay per click. To the right is a series of sponsored ads as well, essentially linking our search query, men's running shoes, directly to e-commerce pages that are advertising they sell them. All of these fall into the category of search engine marketing, or SEM. and we'll discuss those in a later session. Below that, you'll see the beginning of the organic search results. Note that for most of this webinar, you will only see 5 or 6 search results per page, and that's because I don't have the ability to scroll down while doing this presentation. But typically, there are 10 websites that will organically list for every search result. So 10 on page 1, 10 on page 2, etc. The key to strong organic search results is making sure your website's delivered towards the top of a search engine results page on page 1. As you can imagine, this means that a lot of businesses are competing for only a few spaces. There was over 100 people and different companies sign up for today's webinar, 100 competing for 10. In fact, there are enough of you on this webinar to fill 10 pages just for a search result for System Integrator. So how important is it that you show up on the first page rather than page 3 or 5 or 7? Let's take a look at the percent of click-throughs based on where your page ranks on the first results of the search page. As you can see from the chart, we're looking at the behavior from Google users in 2014. Let's say your website ranks in the #1 position when someone searches for the term System Integrator. 32.5% of all Google users searching for System Integrator will click on the first site because it's in the first position. Look at the drop-off as you move further down the list. Second place drops to only 17% of the traffic. That's huge considering first place is at 32%. Obviously, we all need to strive for a top position because if you are in the top 3, you're missing a lot of potential business. What about page 2, 3, 4, and so on? Well, 91.7, nearly 92% of all web pages organically visited or found on the first page of a search result. Essentially, if you aren't on the first page, you have an 8% chance of being found. And let's look at a similar search that's particular to our industry. As you can see, a Google search was done for control system integrators. Note that all the listings are organic. There's no search engine marketing, no ads. Nothing's being done for a control system integrator search. If there were, we'd see them at the top of the page. So a quick side note, if I was a system integrator and I had business throughout the United States or at least a large region of it, I would be heavily advertising in this space, especially since there's no competition, and that would greatly reduce what I have to pay to put an ad up. Let's tighten the screen in and see who the top 5 results are. As you can see, the top 5 spots have been won by CSIA, ranks #1. We have our integrator CSI Advantage here in spot #2. Again, CSIA's Exchange is in spot #3. Control Engineering and Online Publication made #4. And the CSIA wiki page is #5. CSIA obviously has a strong presence. In fact, 6 of the 10 spots on page 1 are held by CSIA. That's great news for everybody here that's a member of CSIA and would be a strong recommendation for membership for those that are not. So what do you need to do to ensure you're easy to find online? Well, before we even worry about being found online, you need to make sure you have a web presence that sends the right message to your potential customers. Step 1 is audit your own website. Look at it with fresh eyes and an outsider's perspective. What does it say about your business? Let's look at 2 quick examples. And we're going to look at these websites thinking that we're a company who has a $5 to $7 million budget to spend in doing some type of work that an integrator is needed. All right, so here's the first integrator. And I've picked 2 integrators from Central Pennsylvania. Now, I know from firsthand experience that this company, trying to protect their name as best as I can, has a great reputation and does fine work. However, I think we can all agree that they are not putting their best foot forward with the first impression their online storefront generates. Now, it might sound a little bit strange to call your website your storefront, but that's exactly what it is. It's the first thing, the very first thing a potential customer will see and speaks volumes about your business. Now, let's look at a direct competitor to this group that's only 30 miles away. Here we have the Lohman Control Systems page. Now, both of these companies are competing in the same marketplace. Who has the clear advantage for first impressions? Remember, many customers will rule you in or out of the selective process based on the feeling and content of your site. It is the most the most important piece of the digital marketing strategy. Website redesign is more and more affordable, and there is no reason not to have a great digital storefront. So assuming you have a great site, are you willing to make the necessary changes to make it great? How do we get more people to it? To do that, we need to have a great strategy in place. You start by deciding what search terms or keywords are most important for your business. The more detailed, the more effective, and the better chance of converting a potential customer into an actual customer. Let's look at a few examples of keyword searches. For this result, you can see that I searched for control system integrators in Texas. If you're based in Texas right now and you don't see your name in the results, you are losing business. Notice that only one integrator, Prime Controls, is listed in the top 6 results. Let's be even more specific. If a potential customer searched for pipeline engineering and system integrators in Houston, Texas, and that's your area of expertise, I'm sure you'd want to be in those results. Both Mangan as well as Wood Group Mustang have done a great job of ensuring they show up. Do you think that happened by accident? Well, I can tell you with 99% certainty that it did not. In order to rank in the top 3 on a Google search, you have to purposely build your site to do so. Both Mangan and Wood Group have previously decided that the long-tail keyword, pipeline engineering, integrator, Houston, was important to them and followed a strategy that has delivered them the results that you see. The good news is you can do this too. After the webinar, sit down and develop a list of the most important keywords for your business. Some of these terms might be very general. For instance, if you do business nationwide, then the term automation integrator may be important to you. However, most of these terms should be far more specific. If you specialize in waste purification or water purification products in the southeastern United States, then a long-tail keyword like water purification pumping control in Florida might make your list. To begin, keep the list under 25 keywords. Also, don't try to do it by yourself. You're only going to be able to come up with a few. The best you can do is to gather your team around a table and let all of your employees contribute. Now that we understand the importance of first page ranking and we've begun to develop a list of the keyword searches that we know we want to appear for, it's time to establish a baseline for how you currently perform for those keyword searches. I recommend you begin with a short list of 5 of the most crucial search terms. Now, to do this, I personally use a free tool that can be found at SEO Central, and here's the link available for you. It's very simple to use. First, all you do is enter the search terms that you want to check. For me, it would be trending software. That's one of my top 5 keywords. Then enter your web address or your domain name, and you can even search a competitor's ranking at the same time. SEO Central then shows you where you rank on Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Google's by far the most important, as we said earlier, but Bing and Yahoo do have credit. Be prepared to be disappointed when you do this. If you've never paid attention to your organic search results, you're likely to be very, very, very far down the page. Remember, if you aren't in the top 10, you have less than an 8% chance of ever being seen by a customer. Now that you know where you currently stand, it's time to work on improving your results. So what does Google look at when determining how to rank your site? Well, 2 things, authority and relevance. Google wants to know, are you an expert? And if you are an expert, are you relevant to the field of your expertise? Obviously, we know that the answer to both of those questions is yes, but how do we make Google understand that? Well, it's simple, through our website's content. To do this, you will need to begin to focus on something called search engine optimization, or SEO. Simply put, SEO is a series of best practices that will better ensure Google, or any other web browser, understands that you have authority and relevance. In turn, you appear on search engine result pages, the SERPs, for the keywords that are important to you. Take a look at this infographic with me. So far this year, Google is showing an average of more than 4 billion searches per day. And look what has happened since 2014. more than half of everyone that searches is clicking on the first organic search result. That's up from 32% just 2 years ago. What's more important is understanding how Google and other search engines rank these sites. Your site has to be both pleasing to the human user as well as optimized for the robot that powers the search engine algorithms that determine your ranking. And they want different things. For instance, your human user wants compelling content, web design that's creative and easy to use, and a trustworthy site. The robots want unique content, industry-relevant keywords, descriptive HTML coding, good site architecture, fast load times, URLs that work, and links from other industry-trusted sites back to your site. So essentially, you need to make sure your website's optimized for two separate users. Look at it like this with me. To understand SEO structure, we need to look at it as two different parts, on-page and off-page. On-page SEO deals with both the content as well as the site architecture. Obviously, site content matters. There are many best practices you should follow to ensure that you have rich keyword-specific site content. In fact, the keywords that you identify to be the most important to you should be the most frequent content on your website. It makes sense, right? If you want Google to find it, it needs to be there. So how do we check that and see if our site's currently rich with our keywords? Well, again, there's another free tool that we can use to do so. Let's take a look at how it works. When I go to SEObook.com and go to their keyword density tool, I can easily type in my address, then customize my search results below. So for me, the shortest keyword that's important to me is 4 letters long. So I change my minimum word length to 4. I'll leave my minimum occurrences at 2, and I click and submit my results. And here we go. They filter down at the bottom, and as you can see on the left, data is the most frequent word used on my site, followed by axiom, learn, trending, and historian. Now, this told me last week when I ran it that I've got an issue in my website copy. Since my most important keyword is data historian, I need to see historian as frequently as I see data. In fact, if I see data of 4.94%, I'm only seeing historian at 1.53%. There's an issue there for me. I need to go back through our website, and I need to change our copy. In fact, when I look at the center column and see 2-word phrases, I can see that data historian doesn't even rank. It's important to understand that SEO is a constant and ongoing process. You're never going to be good enough, and you never stop working at it. You want to constantly be finding new things to improve and learning new techniques to get better. Even if you would get to a point where, say, you're number 1 on 75% of all of your keywords, you still have to keep working to maintain that position. I mention this now because most of you probably aren't staffed in a way to handle this responsibility. You might consider contracting those services out. To do so, you should expect to spend between $500 and $1,500 a month ongoing. Now let's look at some of the other areas of search engine optimization that you should be aware of. Back to on-page SEO, let's look beyond keywords. You also need to have lots of multimedia. Multimedia like embedded videos, images, infographics. They serve to slow web page visitors down. And by slowing them down and having them look at the content, they're staying on your sites and your pages longer. The longer a user stays on a page, Google sees that and ranks that page to be more relevant to the user and to the industry. Internal links are also very important on your site. You want to be constantly linking from your site copy to your locations throughout your site. For instance, in a recent blog post, I mentioned data historian. When I did that, I linked back to my data historian page and so on. Outbound links are also important. You want to link to as many reputable industry sites as possible. This tells Google that you are part of the industry and you pick up significance in their eyes. Now earlier, we saw that CSIA had one of the highest correlations for a Google search for control system integrators. That's a perfect example of a way you can link to an industry standard on an outbound link. Site architecture is also extremely important to the robot side of strong SEO. The framework your site is built on is crucial to good organic search results. Correctly structured web pages, web page titles, keywords present in them, proper URL formatting, keywords present in page tags and meta tags, proper HTML coding with H1, 2, and 3 tags used and containing keywords, and image tags properly tagged with keywords are all necessary. And then the last on the list for on-page SEO is mobile friendly. Mobile friendly. What's your website look like when you load it on your mobile phone? Since the beginning of this year, Google is strongly rewarding sites that are mobile friendly. It's easy to test. Grab your smartphone, visit your website. What's it look like? Can you use your site the same way that you can on your desktop? Is it responsive? Is it easy? If not, you need to invest in having your site developed with responsive design. Simply put, responsive design will adjust your site based on the screen size of the device that's viewing it. With nearly 45% of all web traffic now occurring on mobile devices, you can't miss this. Questions to ask here again is, how hard is it to contact us? Do you have to search for a phone number? Is my main message easily communicated? Now let's discuss the second column, off-page SEO. Off-page SEO tells Google what others in your industry think about your site. For example, if you have a lot of links from other reputable industry sites pointing to your web content, search engines will assume you've got great content. Not only is a useful and relevant website more likely to have links and brand mentions from other websites, it's also more likely to have mentions in industry forums like MrPLC.com, CSIA Connected Community, or Control.com. A relevant site will also be mentioned and shared on social media via Facebook likes, tweets, pins, +1s, etc. And it's more likely to be bookmarked and shared among communities of like-minded users. Blog posts are also extremely valuable in off-page SEO and will be covered in an entirely separate upcoming webinar. I know this is a lot of new knowledge, and based on your previous experience, you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed, but hopefully the last part of this strategy will help you. And that's to identify who is going to be part of your digital marketing team. As you know, for anything to work, you have to make sure you assign roles and responsibilities and then hold everyone accountable. Who on your team do you want to help develop the keyword list? Who will be responsible for checking your current rank and establishing a baseline? How often will you gather your team and discuss progress? Who currently handles your website development? Should they continue to do so? Do you have anyone capable of captaining an SEO strategy, or do you need to outsource? Now, obviously, we've covered a lot today, and it's my hope that you'll leave here today and start to build a strategy to increase your organic search, step 1. As you dig into these subjects, feel free to reach out to me for resources and recommendation. If you need some suggestions on SEO firms or website developers, I have several contacts I can share with you. The next time we host a webinar, it'll be focused on blogging. Blogging will play a crucial role in helping to increase website traffic, and it is a necessary step before we move into paid digital advertising. Think of it this way. We don't want to advertise and pay to advertise until we have a dedicated page to send that traffic to, and it's through the tool of blogging that we can easily develop new website content. Between now and then, be thinking about who in your organization has good communication and organization skills. Those with good communication and organization skills tend to be your staff that's best at potential blog authoring. All right, well, that brings us to a wrap for today. I've reserved the last few minutes to answer any questions you may have that came up throughout the webinar. Feel free to ask anything that you'd like, and I'll do my best to cover them. Let's see what we have here so far. I've got one. If we need to hire a firm to handle our SEO, who do you recommend? Good question. I use a company called Boostability, but there are dozens of good SEO firms available. And like I said before, on a budget that would get you somewhere, you could expect to spend between $500 and $1,500 a month for those type of services. Beware of anyone that's charging you more than $150 an hour for SEO services. Boostability, for instance, starts at $40 an hour. And one more. How long does it take to see results once we do a better job of SEO? Okay, that's a bit of a trick question, and it greatly depends on what you have been doing and where you currently are. But an example I could give you is one of the keywords that we focused on and started to work into our SEO program. We were ranking on page 5. We tend to be in around the 54 to 56 mark. We focused on that specific keyword, and in less than 3 months, we're able to advance it to a page 2. To get to page 1 will typically take 6 to 9 months. So to see movement, generally 90 to 120 days. To get to a page 1 ranking, 6 to 9 months. Now, based on what we've seen in the system integrators world, because there's not a lot of system integrators purposely building websites with SEO in mind, you should be able to move much quicker than that. All right, that's it for questions. I hope our time together was helpful and that you felt your time was well spent. I look forward to speaking to you soon again, and would welcome you to reach out with any questions that you might have. Appreciate your time.